everybody. I'm Ernie Valencia. I'm with Groaning Unified Development. Never really had to do this before, but here we go. I think I'd like to be a voice for the youth, the voice that I never had. Every day I'm learning how to do that, use my mind, open up resources to get to that point to where it's continual. And I'm one that believes that pride is a tool and communication is a key. And without communicating, nothing's going to move forward. And you can't be afraid to communicate with people, regardless of their background. Like Pastor said, some of your greatest blessings are going to be coming from people you would have never imagined. So I think that as long as everybody is not afraid to communicate and express fully from their heart what they want for these children, then that's the only way it's going to happen. Thank you.
Okay. I wasn't sure what we were doing because she just told me we got up here. Okay, so we're talking about Path Forward Utah and how its goal is really to work with all of these other groups and to be that change for everything. And there's so many ways that we can be the change. I had already written, so I'm going to say my stuff because Jamie can never make me shut up. So, every one of us has some gifts that we can bring to the table, even if we've never thought of them before. I'm inherently a teacher. That's what I do. I educate every grade, every age that I can, and I do not have a degree in it. I just try to tell people the truth, and I try to tell them with as much love as possible. And I think 1776 Unites has been an amazing opportunity to speak to some people and to tell a history that unifies. I also teach a bunch of 15-year-olds, and this week we made a collage on the dangers of Karl Marx and the ideas of Marxism. And what I would like to do, because I believe that the way that we better our lives is by becoming more intelligent. An autodidact is what it's called. An autodidactic means that you are self-taught. So my thought is, and I'll just take this from the very smallest grades. If I took a book like Cinderella and I came to some place, one of the things that I need is a venue. So I come to a venue in Ogden because that seems to be the area that's hurting the most right now, even though that means driving from Payson. So I would come in and I would bring a story of Cinderella, but I would bring the Black version of Cinderella because people feel that representation is so important. I personally don't. I feel like you can learn from other people's stories, but that's the other part of this, and where I would where I would need funding because we are not rich. So, but what my idea is that I would perform a version of Cinderella, kind of the monologue type thing. And then I would give the kids books based on like the Russian version of Cinderella or the Chinese version or whatever, so that these young children would start to see that we're all unified, that we all have similar stories. And then for high school, I would want to do something similar. And a book that is always going through my head is Angela's Ashes, Irish Famine. And so then you take that story and then you take another version of it from other countries so that these people are starting once again to see that common thread that we all have struggles, that it's not unique to one skin tone. And then for adults, there are many adults, especially men, who cannot read. And there are many people who have no interest in reading because one thing, especially in the Black community, they've often been taught that education is for white people. So I want desperately to start book clubs and to start literacy to train other people, anybody who's interested in teaching other people how to read. And yeah, we would start from an elementary level. That's okay, because all we do is we just help a person see that every single day, every single step, they're just getting better and better and better. And who knows, before you know it, maybe we're electing them into an office, you know? So that's my own passion, and my own, everything that I've ever overcome in my life has been because of a book like The Little Princess, or a book like The Secret Garden, where somebody's gone through extreme nothing, they've had nothing, they've even been a miserable person, and they found the beauty within themselves to do something. So in terms of praising Path Forward, well, Jamie brought us all together. Sometimes Jamie drives me crazy because she like micromanages, but she's brilliant. And more than she's brilliant, I believe she's led by God. And I know that not everybody's religious, but I am. And I just feel like it's an absolute blessing. Mr. Woodson, I think you're an absolute angel. And every time I come, I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness. So thank you.
Hi, Lucy, also part of Path Forward. Jamie's literally amazing. And part of our organization is to gather together and try to see what we can do to help each other and progress. I just wanted to add something that somebody brought up earlier about financial literacy part, since we're Pathway Forward, some information on that. So I used to work at the Utah Extension Office. I know you're always making jokes about universities, etc., but
I do.
it's brutal. Because there are great people also at universities, just remember. I teach at a university, but and I know some good people there too. But there's definitely stuff that's happening that maybe isn't necessarily beneficial for a future generation. But there's also good that's happening, and some of those cool things are part of the extension office for Utah State is that there's free classes for financial literacy. If you want to talk to me about after, I can give you all that information. But you could go and they'll teach you all the basics and so forth. And if you need even more information past that, they're there to support you. And they're always looking for people. They just don't know where to get them. So anyways, I just wanted to hit hard on that. We're here to support each other and to always share resources as much as we can, because I think really that's the only way we can be able to succeed is through sharing that. And because a lot of times maybe we have all these resources that we don't recognize that somebody else may need. So,
Can I say one more thing? One more thing. Ignorance is like a jail cell, and I think that that's the thing about Path Forward is that Jamie envisioned enlightening people, letting them know the truth about what's going on, and so you break out of that cell. And for those of you who've been in prison, good on you. Don't be ashamed of whatever your background is, because it's made you who you are.
I'm not too much of a speaker either. My name is Murray Latson. I don't have an organization, but I do know a lot of powerful people that are in organizations, and what I do in my community, in my neighborhood is, I put on benefit shows. I'm a local promoter there for our inner city artists that want to have a chance to perform on a platform so they can do better in their careers that they have their passion for. I support the kids. I do this out of my own pocket. I do this just out of the passion of the love that I have and the respect that I've built since I've been in Utah. A lot of people might know me in the room today. A lot of people might have seen me for the first time. I'm also a local artist in Ogden. I go by Mr. 200 Mad Stack. It's just a label and an artist name for myself that I built up to create. And I would like to also, this is what I mainly want to do, is I want to help people in my community to grow and to accept and belong. I mean, that's an issue that I see in the community. I consider it mine now. I've been there long enough. It's part of me. It grew on me. I see a lot of, like my man said in the back, I'll get to know you soon before we leave today. There's a gap in between that it needs to be connected. And I'm sure that we can put our minds together and come through collectively and sit around the table, like Mr. Marcus said, and get this glued and figure out a situation to where we can get the extra help that we need, to where we can be seen in the front, so we don't have to work so hard to like prove a point that this is what we actually need. So that's my main focus on this for the city of Ogden. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be there. So I would love to energize every group in here to push forward, and I can use the right words without breaking up, because I'm a little nervous right now for everybody. But I just want to just bring us together as one unit and push forward to do a lot better. And you said today, we spoke right over here before we got a piece of chicken. The chicken wasn't big enough. You're right. It wasn't. That gap in between of having all the knowledge to get it done and not having the resources. There's something in between right here that we actually need to fix. And I can see we have a lot of powerful people in this room right here. As I look around, we have pastors, senators. I mean, we have everybody in this room right now that's able to get these things done, and I'm willing to play my part, a big role in that part. And everyone knows my passion about it, that really knows me, that once I put my feet down, it's time to go moving forward with it. And that's my talk for the day.
Thank you. My name is Scott Clark. I'm just standing in behalf of Bishop Bobby Allen, who's my pastor. He's one of the longest pastors that's been here in Utah for over 40 years. We're the Church of God in Christ. So he had sent me a text and said, he's in Hawaii right now, said he's not gonna make it, but basically said, you gonna make it. So just following instructions, But what we're looking at in, as far as the church, Church of God in Christ, and just the church in general, is just connection. This big thing, as far as connecting with, like this room here, you know, you have the different resources, and, you know, coming together, and not just coming together, but doing something together. After we leave here, what's the next step? You know, how can we partner? This is what, I'm a real estate investor. This is what we do in real estate, is that we partner with other people. And so, so that's the big thing that we're looking at, is that how can we partner with each other, regardless of the background, the color, religion, what have you, but let's partner together. And, you know, for, Senator to be here, that's a blessing. And for you, sir, you know, to take your time to be here, which is a blessing. You know, we're getting some great information and resources, so thank you. Thank you both. But when they are gone, then we have to get together. We got to connect with each other, not let this be the last time. But I know, again, on behalf of our bishop, he would say a little bit more things, but we want to partner together with each other. So thank you so much.
Thank you. There's about at least 6 other groups that wanted to be here today but just couldn't. So this just represents about, I'm sure you always say that you go in and you find one Joseph group, which leads you to another, which leads you to another. We have a solid, 8 to 12 Joseph groups that are working together. So I'm going to I just want to say one thing. If you have to leave at 3 o'clock, make sure you leave enough time for a group picture.
Let me just say just a couple of words here. I was sitting here, I had a chance to reflect. This day, I began my preparation for this day 40 years ago. The year I decided to retire from the belt and just come off of all pro year, but also accepted Christ in my life again. And I had this impression it was time for me to really give back to the remarkable community I grew up in. Unlike many of you here, I was blessed. Remarkable mom, remarkable dad, they worked together as a team, educators, and they did everything they could to make sure that we felt very, very positive about who we were. And I look back and I was seeing what's going on at that time, 1983, and I realized it was changing my community. So I decided I was gonna do something, I didn't know what it was gonna be, something to make sure these kids would get the message I grew up with. What I didn't realize is I had a lot of learning to do, a lot of homework to go through. Started a business and went flat broke. Had to start all over again. Literally start over in a one-bedroom apartment, 4 kids, a security guard and a chimney sweep. But that was an important process because, as many of you guys have talked about it here, I had to get to that position where I can tell somebody, if I can do it, you can do it. Most powerful 3 words, most powerful, I think 9 words. You tell the Americans, I've been there, I know what it is, and give them that hope. What we're doing right here, by the way, I was one of those guys that said I would never, ever, ever be a politician. But I thought a few years ago, back in 2017, that I found my passion, which is to work with at-risk kids. So I started a program with Second Chance for Youth, work with kids coming out of the juvenile system. And it got to a point, 4 years later, I realized if we don't do something in DC, the speaking is going to continue to just get bigger and bigger. We can't stop it if they don't do something to have these kids read, write, think, be proud of who they are. So I made that decision to do that. And actually, Bob was one of the first people I told. I don't know, you were in the process of getting out that, you started the process with 1776. And we were having a conversation, I was going to be part of that. And I said, Bob, I'm going to run for Congress. And I tell you, now that I'm the chair of the Education, Subcommittee for Education and Workforce. Education is my passion. So the things we're talking about right here is things that I can do on a national basis. Things I can do on a national basis to look at programs like this and see how we can help be part of the solution. Because we know where the solution needs to be. It has to be without kids. They've been under attack for a long time. And what we're seeing now is a product of years and years of this Marxist ideology that divides all of us. I tell you guys, once we get back to recognizing that we're here for a reason, we're here together for God's perfect plan. Every one of you guys have a talent. And Bob has to be the person that gives us vision of what we can do together. And he's earned the respect of major players around the country that has bought into what he believes in. He believes in us. And because of that, it's a nice connection that we couldn't do on our own. So I'll say this, one thing about Utah, we are the best collaborative state in the union. The things we do here, guys, that no other state can do, and this is one of them right here. So I would just say this, continue to share your life, your defeats, and particularly this vision that we can have here in Utah to work together. So Bob, I want to thank you again. Cannot wait to see what I can do now that I'm in Congress. But whatever we do to help this organization helps the entire country. So I just want to be part of that solution. So thanks so much. Appreciate you, buddy.
Well, in the last 7 minutes, I wanted to just, well, first of all, anyone else have any comment? But I just wanted to say how much of a blessing it is to kind of share with you and some of the services at the Woodson Center offers. You know, as you said, we have a group called Community Affiliate Network. These are grassroots leaders who meet every month, and they exchange with one another. We use it out for training and whatnot. We did not want to mimic the poverty program, so the moment we got some resources we set up a mini grants program. So we give over $1 million a year of the income we take in goes out to small mini grants to our grassroots leaders. Some of you are recipients. And some of you are on our can calls, and we invite all of you to come and join us. And part of our mission through our books, the 1776 Unites, this is a counteract, a response to Nicole Hannah-Jones in 1619, where she condemns America as being, you know, racism is in your DNA. If you say something's in your DNA, you can't change it. But it's very, and so we believe that America is a country of second chances. The very fact that blacks fought in every war that this country had, and not one single black person has ever been tried for treason. But we've also never been defined by slavery. There's a story I tell about was a man named Elijah McCoy, who was born of fugitive slave parents. They went to Canada and he got a degree in engineering. When he came back to the States, since he was black, he sought a job at the Chicago Railroads. So they gave him the worst job, the most dangerous one, and that is putting oil on the wheels of the trains. But he used that opportunity to invent a machine that automatically lubricates the wheels, and thus the whole industry was able to move 40 miles long, and it changed the whole country. He became in the Inventors Hall of Fame, and he became rich. But people tried to develop knockoffs, but the owners of the railroad said, no, we want the real McCoy. Everybody all over the world knows that expression, I want the real McCoy, because it is a guarantee of authenticity and quality. But that was done by a black man, and there are other stories. There are 20 blacks who had died, who were born slaves who died millionaires. Robert Smalls went back and purchased the plantation on which he was a slave and took in the destitute wife and children of the slave master. And she was delusional, thought the slavery never ended, and he let her sleep in her bedroom till she died. That is an act of radical grace. And if people like Robert Small could forgive, how can somebody today, 100 years removed, be angry? America is a country of redemption. It is a country of forgiveness. I found a word from Dr. King when he talked about how do you address people who are so-called, define themselves as your enemies. Things that we must respond with agape love. Agape love does not try to destroy the person who is your opposition. It tries to change their hearts. And the best way to destroy an enemy is to make them your friend. And if you can just stay true to that, you will profit. But you change them. We must also realize that some of the people who are assaulting our basic values are doing so because they're ill-informed. They're well-intentioned, but they're ill-informed. And so that's why it's important to first approach someone as if they're ill-informed and educate them. Tell them that. That's why our curriculum now has been downloaded 150,000 times, 115,000 times in all 50 states, because there's people thirsty for knowledge. And so for some of those people, once they see the knowledge, see the information, they will change. And we must always be open to recruit people to believe as we believe. You can't do that if you're assuming that because they differ from you, that they're your enemy. And that's why when I'm on public discussions or debates, I never attack the person, because I believe that experience will always prevail against an argument. I was on YouTube debating Hawk Newman, the head of Black Lives Matter in New York. You can see it on YouTube. Well, he kept getting confounded because he wanted to talk about how America is racist and the problems of the inner cities today is because of the legacy of slavery and discrimination. And so I just gave him common examples, how we closed the education gap in the South between 1920 and 1940 from 3 years to 6 months because of the 5,000 Roosevelt schools. We had 5 high schools in our urban centers that had used textbooks, crumbling buildings, and half the budget of white schools. In 1920, they outscored all of the white schools in those cities. And so I said to him, if we did this when racism was enshrined in law, and we had no political representation, then why can't we close the gap today when blacks have been running the cities for 50 years? See, he had no response to that. So he wasn't confronting Bob Woodson's argument. Because we can argue all day. It's your opinion against mine. But when you make people confront facts, it's very difficult for them to do. But also, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm spending my time with you, you have evidence that the values upon which this nation has been established have the consequence of improving the quality of a person's life. the values of God, love thy neighbor, love thy country, love my God. These foundational principles allow you to be transformed from prison to be a shining light and an inspiration of other people. Nobody should be defined by the worst of what we used to be when we were young. But the way we can proselytize and what we can we need to disciple people. And the reason that I'm spending my time with you is because the best way to convince people that your values are important is when you can point to someone who's abided by them and their life changed. And that's why it's not just teaching we need to do. It's what, when the servants of John the Baptist came to Jesus and said, "Are you the one, or do we seek another?" He didn't pull out his resume and say, "Wasn't I born at Christmas?" He healed in their presence and told them, "Go tell them what you see." That's what I said to Hawk Newman. I said, "Hawk, I can show you 10 young men who used to be gangbangers last year. Now they're family men with full-time jobs. Tell me how your angry approach, accusing people of racism, is going to produce that kind of results." I can tell you 6 people who were drug addicted a year ago. All of them are drug-free today. Tell me how your approach of blaming white folks for everything is going to produce that kind of results. So I really think the testimonies that we heard here should be the foundation of the whole movement. And the model for that is going to be established right here in Utah, where we can help you close the gap between what you can afford to do and what you're capable of doing. That's what we've got to say to people in the church. We got to say that to people in corporations, to say to the foundations, the money that you're wasting sending it to Black Lives Matter and all these other loudmouths who do nothing but scream anti-American rhetoric, that money needs to be transferred to grassroots Josephs. So that's how we celebrate America, by upholding those who are promoting American values as they demonstrate that these are the foundation upon which you transform people's lives. That's the value of it. And so you'll hear back from us. This is the first chapter. And we're going to be putting together a proposal that will establish some institutional way that we can link the Pharaohs and the Josephs here, because that's going to be the answer. My politics is radical pragmatism. I'm a cardiac Christian whose politics is radical pragmatism. I think we have no permanent friends or permanent enemies, just permanent issues. I judge our politicians by their actions to address the needs of the least of these, not because they belong to a political party. But I think they must demonstrate in their individual actions that they believe and do everything. So that's where my politics are. Thank you for giving me this time.